Hello and welcome to round number 3 of the season. We are here for Tier 4, back at it again for GSR Season 4. I am joined by GSR Patriot. I'm PMBO5. How are you doing, Patriot?
I am doing quite well today, ready for some exciting racing on the streets of Azerbaijan.
Yes, sir. This race has always been a chaotic race, especially when you come to GSR. The race back in Season 2 and Tier 2 had a crazy race. Season 2, Tier 1, I can't remember anything about it, to be honest. And a lot of DNFs back in Season 1 of this league, the first ever Baku race that was ever done. Then you also had as well Season 3 last year, which probably had the most chaotic ending. And I'm being serious. This was probably more chaotic than last week, which we'll speak about in a little while. This is probably more chaotic than last week's ending. GSR's Tier 2 ending last season, with GSR Hamilton going on the right tires at the right time as it starts to rain. Kyle Satu and GSR Bianchi running up front. Both crash out of the lead. Now puts GSR Pluto in the lead. He has to kind of take advantage of that. And then you have as well GSR Hamilton take the lead, and you have just a crazy finish to that race. Do you expect to see any chaoticness today in Baku for Tier 4? Because we saw last week was chaotic. Will this week top that?
Oh yeah, with the tight circuit conditions around Azerbaijan, you can never count out the possibility of mayhem, especially after last week, the crazy finish that was there on a track that isn't as tight or a street circuit. You can only expect even more chaos this week.
And speaking of last week, which we'll speak more about in a minute, the previous 2 weeks, we've had Evil Matrix take the win in Britain. That was a chaotic race when it came to spins and back and forth between drivers throughout the midfield. There was always something happening in Britain, whether it was good or bad. And last week, which we'll speak about now, last week was something else. Last week was so chaotic. You got to commentate that, kind of speak about last week more than I could, because I mean, you know more about me than I do about last week's race with the late safety car, the rain, and all the chaoticness.
Oh yeah, I was treated to some very exciting, intense racing from a teammate battle at Williams on the final lap, forcing each other into the grass. Very aggressive driving, very entertaining, and just hyped up finish with the late safety car, and it exceeded all expectations. We saw a great finish in which, well, not a very clean finish, but an exciting finish in which we saw the Williams of Alpe take the victory.
Ooh,
after he was third.
Hold up. Super Whammon actually just spun at the castle section. We'll speak about how chaotic the castle section can be, but yeah, like you said, chaotic, but not necessarily the cleanest way. The two teammates, like you said, of Williams collided, and it allowed a McLaren to go through. I've conducted, and then the final lap we saw probably the most chaotic witness we'll see. We got an every view clip of that kind of, an every view YouTube video. That's pretty cool that we got for GSR. I mean, GSR Tier 4 has had the chaos. I mean, opening this tier has been special to, I guess, GSR, because the recruitment throughout the seasons. I mean, Season 1 was kind of down with the way the season was. Season 2 progressed and showed, you know, what this league could do with the up and downs. And then the Season 3 showed the next tier, Tier 3 coming up. And the recruitment going through, again, being a lot better. And then this season, enough for a Tier 4. This season's done very well with the recruitment, wouldn't you say, with the way it's gone, because we've got enough for 16, 17 people here today for Tier 4. And just because of how the races have been, Patriot, we've got the chaos that's happened for Tier 4. We're glad to open this tier the way it has been.
Oh yeah, very exciting way to introduce Tier 4 with some very exciting races at Britain and Hungary. It's exceeding all expectations and very entertaining to watch from the whole league's viewpoint. Just very entertaining to see all these guys who may not have a lot of speed but want to show their worth and show their worth in league racing, and who knows, make a name for themselves in GSR. as we did have
Yeah, you just
Bonehead.
don't know it could go on.
Yeah, we had Bonehead just starting his lap, turn 1, hit the wall, and
Ooh,
now
hold up.
he
Yankee just going up to
self-tired
third
himself.
and improves. So he keeps himself in the second row. No, I was going to say before we get everyone completing laps, the castle section in this racetrack is going to be tough for drivers. Obviously, it's reduced damage for Tier 4 for the street circuits, but it's still going to be a tough racetrack. It's not going to affect anything much. You're still going to have the chaos, the toughness that you see here in GSR, because you're going to have a lot, as Crispy Hang goes up there, you're going to have a lot of chaos. You're still going to have everything that usually happens, that will happen still, even if it's reduced damage, full damage, or whatever it could be. Now, Castle Section Patriot. This racetrack is a street circuit. Street circuits are pretty hard in the Formula 1 racing. Not even in Formula 1 racing, in league racing. We saw a crazy race last year where people crashed out when it started to rain. We expect a lot of chaos, wouldn't you say, for a track like Baku?
Oh, definitely. Very tight conditions, and when you pack 15 plus cars, in this case today 17 cars, with less experienced racers, you can only expect chaos on lap 1, squeezing people into walls, spins, you name it, we might see it here, as we have some of the qualifying finishers coming to the line.
So, actually, Rowdy TJ Boy, 7th right now in the running order. Where is he going to qualify? He's actually going to go up to 4th, second row for him so far. There's a Williams, I believe, crossing the line now. It's Alpe. He actually won the race last season. He's 2 seconds up from his time. Can it be the pole he wants after last week? It is 3rd. Gets under the 2nd row. Behind that is the Renault Bianchi crossing the line. Pitting. There's the Mercedes as well. I believe that is CJ Pantry just going up to 9th. Behind that, the Racing Point Herald coming to the line, down on his time, coming into the pits actually. The AlphaTauri, that might be Patriot VC. He's coming to cross the checkered flag. I don't think he'll be able to complete a lap. No, he actually will be able to start a lap. There's a Ferrari behind Crispy Hang, 10th down, but the Sector 3 could possibly change that. No, he's way worse on his time. There's the Alfa Romeo. It is Evil Matrix. But you have Patriot VC gonna come to the line pretty soon on his lap and gonna complete it. He'll be the last driver to finish his lap. But so far we've seen this qualifying session Super Whammon take pole, but it's actually a more closer pole and a more closer top 6 than it was last week.
Yeah, Super Whammon grabbing the pole by over a second in, I think, 1.3 seconds in the last race at Hungary. So definitely a lot closer. Bonehead, I don't think he was able to make last week's race, so he's going to be able to close the gap in Alpe a lot closer to Super Whammon in terms of his pace. Bianchi coming down from Tier 3, he's P4. He's only 5 or so tenths off of Super Whammon, so we have a bunch of cars that are very close to each other in terms of pace, so hopefully some very entertaining racing from these guys.
I'm quite interested to see as well. I know this is as you see, Patrick VC a 10th up in his time, could possibly improve to the top 6, maybe top 7, but he's just a 4 1,000ths off from 7th. But no, what I find it last week, it's a much tighter racetrack, but much closer racetrack when it comes to the times. And Super Wyman was about a second out front. Now this week, he's not even a second out front. So I'm quite interested to see as Patrick VC does stay 8th. That was glitched, I guess. But
Yeah.
no, I'm actually quite interested to see. With this field, you see a 10th between the top 2. This looks like a more closer field for this race. We've seen many races from real life, 2017, 2018 Baku. That was crazy. Could we see that today, maybe? Could we see a crazy Baku race? I'm interested to see it, but the field is much closer for that to happen. There could be more safety cars. There could be a late race safety car like last season, which doesn't even bunch up the pack because of how far spread out the pack was and how many laps to go there were. So, the top 5, Super Whammon, Bonehead, Alpe, who won last week, Bianchi, Rowdy TJ Boy. There's some big names outside of the top 10. Lewis, Patrick VC, and Matrix, who could all take a very good finish today if a lot of chaos happened. Last season, GSR Bianchi was on a run for podium. That didn't happen in Tier 2 after a late race crash, and he crashed in the same place where Kyle did when the rain started to come down. So we could see guys such as like a Dominant Square or an Evil Matrix or a CJ Pants possibly steal a podium out of this race.
Yeah, definitely. The field's much closer to each other. The top 10 are 1.3 away from each other. Considering that was the gap from pole to second last week, we're gonna have a very tight finish, I do believe here. Maybe some safety cars thrown into the mix. You never know. It is Azerbaijan.
I know it's a longer racetrack lap time wise, about by 20 seconds compared to last week's race, about 20-30 seconds. So you would expect the field to be more closer in Hungary than Azerbaijan, but the field is more closer in Azerbaijan than Hungary. So Tier 4's got some interesting things that we can look at here. You just don't know what could happen. There's many things that could happen in 26 laps for this race. Many things could happen. So we go lights out for the formation lap at least. Super Whammon on pole. We'll probably see the tire strategy pop up in about a few seconds here. Let me just switch drivers so it does. The strategy here looks like softs to hards, or possibly the two-stop. We'll find out what the strategy is from these drivers. I want to actually go in the back here and see if the strategy does decide to pop up. It does not from the guys I'm actually at. We'll find out the strategy in a little while, but Patriot, I'm going to go over three favorites here. Super Whammon, his race pace hasn't been too well, but this is a track where race pace I wouldn't say matters as much. This is a track where it's much harder to pass except for Sector 1. He's driving the Red Bull. We saw the Red Bull car in Tier 2 last season have an amazing battle between the two teammates of Ute Elephant and Squid Jr. Now, can Super Whammon repeat that battle of amazingness, kind of similar to how Ricciardo and Verstappen were in 2018 with a different driver, or will we have anything else? Softs to hards you see is the strategy. Softs, medium, softs is the two-stop strategy, as you see on the screen below. But Super Whammon took pole. This is 2 weeks in a row, so he could possibly steal a win today. Alpe, who won last week in the chaotic finished third to first on that last lap, last corner. Alpe could possibly take that if you have another finish with a late race safety car, because DRS matters so much here. The slipstream matters so much here at this racetrack. I look at Alpe as a guy who could possibly go from third to first again, even if without a crash, because of how long that straight is. And I'm actually going to go with Patriot VC down in 8th. Got a podium last week. His first podium in GSR Tier 4. After crashing a few times, he came back to finish third after being 6th in the final turn. So, and again, if something like that happens on the front straight again, we maybe could see that. Three favorites from you, Patriot.
My first favorite, starting outside the top 10, Evil Matrix, won Britain, starting farther back in P12 on the mediums. So different strategy from him, not a soft to hards. I wouldn't think a two-stop, so I'm thinking mediums to hards for the Alfa Romeo.
Yeah.
My next favorite, Alexis Sanchez, he pretty much had the win at Hungary in the bag. He was racing everybody around him really hard. Didn't have the pace as some of the other people, but was blocking really good, and until the final corner had the win in the bag. But it doesn't seem like I have time for a third favorite, so we'll get ready for lights out.
Yeah, sorry for gotta cut you off there, but the lights come on here in Baku. We can see a chaotic one, just like Tier 2 last season. The opener for Tier 4, for the first time, lights are about to go out. And we are away at Baku. Lights out, away we go into turn 1. There's 3 wide in the middle of the field. Dive bombing turn 1, the Mercedes did. They're 3 wide. No trouble so far. They're side by side. Super Whammon keeping the race lead. Alpe, who actually gained a position on the first lap, actually hits the wall of turn 2. That's not going to help his momentum, because he's going to get caught by Bonehead. And there's a yellow flag at the back. That is Dylan, who fell back a little bit from the initial start. And now into turn 3 for the first time. Bonehead, ready TJ Boy, almost made contact. Alpe hitting the wall, just barely, slightly touching it. At the far back as well, you got the guys on different compounds. Evil Matrix on the medium's highest runner. The guys on different compounds actually taps the wall a little bit, but with reduced damage, he should be fine for now. And through the chicane for the first time, Bonehead, a little bit sideways for him. 1 second, or almost 2 second lead for Super Whammon on it. Oh,
yeah,
hold up, Super Whammon actually just made a mistake, because he's actually cut that lead down to a second.
Yeah, another great start from Super Whammon, doing what he needs
Castle
to
section.
do.
Some damage. Matrix was one of them, I think Conducted was the other. but they just got damaged at the castle section. A few drivers did. That's something that drivers gonna have to be careful about.
Yeah, wing damage for Dark Strider and the McLaren as he gets passed by Conducted.
Oh, contact! Around goes Bonehead! He spun off Alpe's car and resets the track.
Unfortunate for him.
Yeah, you can't go stop and work well. And there's another
Dominant
crash.
Square.
I think that's Dominant Square actually spun around into the barrier. Not the way he wants to start off his Azerbaijan Grand Prix, but Crispy Hang goes by the Red Bull of Rowdy TJ Boy into turn 1. Rowdy TJ Boy was almost close to hitting him. Lewis goes by Patriot VC, but Patriot VC diving it back down the inside. He hits the wall there, Lewis does. A little bit of contact with that barrier, and I think the McLaren just went around. That was Dark Strider.
People already making pit stops. The Alfa Romeo, Matrix, and Bianchi are all down. They're going to double stack at Renault. Not the start these guys wanted. Renault, they are going to double stack.
It's going to be very interesting to see what Red Bull can do. Is Super Wyman going to try to help his driver get up there, or is he going to manage that 4-second lead? 5 seconds now Super Wyman has. The amount of gap he has to the other driver is insane. We saw him have a few problems when he probably could have come back through the field and won Hungary last week, but he didn't do so. He failed to do so.
Yeah,
Alpha the castle section.
Alpha surely holding up Crispy Hang and Rowdy right now. As Rowdy, he makes a little contact with the wall. Looks like the wing's a little. Looks like the wing's clean from what I can see, but he did hit the wall just a tiny bit.
If your wing's clean the whole race at Baku, you've had a good race then at that point. If you don't have any wing damage, I think your race has been good at Baku. You can say the same about Vietnam, but now it's a 5-second lead from Super Whammon to Alpe. And Dark Strider was the last of the cars who had stayed out. Bianchi, Square, the 2 Renaults had pitted. And now you see under this front straight, Davy Cat gaining on Patriot VC. This is for the 6th position, but remember, DRS is not actually enabled till the exit of turn 2 now. Because that, while Super Whammon leads another lap, takes the fastest lap, you see them kind of weaving on the straight, trying to break the slipstream, because the slipstream is something very powerful at this track, and the overtake button might be a little bit more powerful. Rowdy TJ Boy is actually... This is going to affect him.
Yeah, they do have a 3-car.
Right there.
Yeah. They do have a 3-car train for the 5th position right now. Patriot VC trying to get to the back of CJ Pance's Rowdy's AI is losing a bunch of positions. Unlucky for him.
Dark Strider pitted, going on to hards, so he might make a pit stop at the end of the race. You never know. It's harder to go onto a 1-stop and do the strategy that me and Polo did. Me and Polo did a while ago in SRL of softs to hards or mediums to hards at Italy. It's more tougher to do in this game to try that strategy for pitting lap 1, lap 2, and lap 3 and going to the end, because it's just much harder. That's just the way it is. You can't always get to the end of these tires that you go on at the start. So maybe Bianchi, or no, not Bianchi, Matrix and Dark Strider might be making another pit stop, and actually that's Bonehead going into the wall at turn 15. I think he had contact with Lewis. I saw them side by side.
Oh!
Oh!
CJ!
And there goes Stevie Cat as well, picking up wing damage, and Patrick VC is actually going to take 1, but 2 positions out of this. And I am expecting CJ to pit there. He got some oversteer off the castle, off the S section, and that's what forced him into the wall. Not a good start for the Mercedes driver or the Ferrari driver of Stevie Cat.
Yeah, Stevie Cat, he lost the back end in the fast, I would say, S's on the large straight. He lost a good part of the wing and is now boxing. That's Patrick VC. 4 positions, though.
I just saw Alexis Sanchez try to dive down the inside of Harold. It actually costed him more time than anything. Because if he didn't try to make that move down the inside, he wouldn't have lost the time he did to Harold. And he's in a Racing Point sandwich. There's a yellow flag. CJ Pants is going to the wall and then pit exit, actually, at a turn 2. Ooh.
Yeah, he lost a good part of that left front wing, or the left wing, yeah.
Kind of
Depending on
swerving
Stevie
from the Stevie
Cat now.
Cat
Oh,
there. Oh,
can't
goes
do
to the
it.
wall again. Oh, that's not good. Harold was trying unconducted to move up a place into turn 7, that was. But the thing is, these are, oh, you see conducted almost at the castle section wall. The thing with these drivers, I know it's tier 4, and we saw some of the moves, Patriot, that were done last week. Not all of them were smart moves. Not all of them were having the patience that you'd expect a tier 1 driver to have. But these guys are tier 4. So do you think anyone will be dumb enough, I'd say, to make a move in the castle section? Because CJ Pants is out. That could bring out a safety car. He's actually gone up the castle section and crashed it. His rear tires are actually off the car. And it's a yellow flag still, but this doesn't look like it'll bring out a safety car. That's up the castle section. If you look, his rear tires have came off the car. The whole rear of the car is messed up. And that's not even a safety car.
Yeah.
Down the inside, Crispy
right
Hang on Alpe. They're wheel to wheel, and Alpe stays ahead.
After VC making his stop, he's going to the hard compound tires to try and go to the end. 21 laps is doable. And so he's going to go for an undercut on these guys. He's going to come out with pretty clean air, as well as he does have cars behind. But if he can hold them off, he will be in clean air.
Don't pull the same mistakes CJ pulled, because he got into the turn 2 wall by overshooting the exit of the pit lane. You don't want to pull that mistake, because he kind of ran into the bad way, into the white line, and that's how he got out of the race, or had the trouble, to the point where he got out of the race. 10-second lead in Alpe and Super Whammon, with a 5-lap completion almost already, and you have that big of a gap. It's insane. The two teammates, Lewis and Evil Matrix, I think they just traded positions between the two. And Alexis Sanchez sitting behind Conducted and Harold. This is for 4th. But where they're at, they started on different tires, and the top 6 has actually stayed out and not tried to make an undercut, to where these guys, Conducted, Harold, Alexis Sanchez, are hoping just to pit later in the race.
Yeah, Alexis Sanchez at least is on the medium compound tire, so we will be able to stretch out this run a little more. Up 11 positions from some overtakes, some people pitting, and some carnage, as he does go for an overtake on the Mercedes.
Oh.
Wheel to wheel. Oh,
this
no.
ain't gonna end well. Boom, into the
no.
wall. Conducted goes around and into the barrier he goes. And yeah,
Safety
that
car.
creates a safety car. Okay, my question is, why is that a safety car right there when they both go into the wall? But CJ's, where the whole rear tires come off, that isn't. That makes no sense to me. And a missing front wing from Conducted.
Alexis Sanchez
Patrick
and
VC has to give up an illegal overtake. Hold up. Patrick VC had to give up an illegal overtake, and that's why he slowed down right there. And this was a perfect time for the guys to pit. Harold actually missed the pits right there, so that sucks for him.
Alexis Sanchez and Conducted NPA making more contact. We saw the last corner carnage between the two. They were 1-2, and Alexis Sanchez didn't even finish the race after contact with each other, so just more bad blood between these two.
I didn't realize that. Wow, that's huge. So these two, like you said, at Hungary, had the issues they had on the final lap, and they tried to go side by side actually in the S's, which in my opinion, that was never going to work. Just put it that way. That was never going to work. You try to go side by side in the S's, it don't matter who it is. You try to go side by side in the S's, the final few turns, turn 17 to, or turn 16, 17 to 20. That's never going to work. That's never going to happen and end well. And right there, those two who collided last week, more issues, and we might see it again later in this race, which I won't be surprised if we do. I didn't realize that was the same too. Wow, I'm kind of surprised about that.
Yeah, going side by side in the fast S's onto the straight, it isn't very ideal, and for those two, they just couldn't hold their lines and made contact. So maybe some angry messages after the race, but there's more carnage between the two.
Yeah, it wasn't as much those two. It was more Alpe and Akimbos last week. The two it was the other Williams and McLaren going at it last week. Now it's the Williams of Alexis Sanchez and Conducted this week again. So not good for them. It's fun,
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, the
Got
two
that
British
right.
teams
Got
not
that
being very friendly with each other.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Well, I just think about the S's. The last few corners, I've had issues before there on the racetrack, and you see how much the safety cars actually costed Harold. It's actually going down to 10th. It might go down to 11th. No, he's going to stay 10th. And where he was going to be, he was going to probably be about 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. Not 10th, and he's still down behind his teammate. So, not good for him with the safety car coming on at the wrong time. But they're all trying to catch up to that safety car, which is actually going pretty fast for Baku. But, like we said, Kimbos and Alpe last week were the two who collided, the Williams and McLaren. The other two teammates, Alexis Sanchez and Conducted, who's supposed to be in that McLaren car, but it didn't assign it to him. We'll just call him the McLaren anyway. Conducted and Alexis Sanchez contact again. We don't usually see many rivalries in the lower tiers of leagues many times. It don't matter what league it is. You don't usually see many lower tier rivalries such as that. I think we're getting to see a rivalry here in GSR Tier 4, and maybe expect those two to collide more often. I hate to say it, I don't like to see people collide all the time. It does bring racing, it's good and bads, but I expect those two to be near each other and collide more often, because that's not good.
Yeah, definitely not what either of these two wanted. Screwing pretty much their early parts of this Grand Prix. It's definitely not over. Alexis Sanchez did start in last because he did not qualify and made his way all the way up to P7 or 6. So he does have some speed in there, and he doesn't have to make any more stops. Very interesting though. Crispy Hang, he picked for the mediums, so he does have to make another stop. You think? Because I don't think he can stretch the mediums that long.
He's betting on another safety car in this race, because safety cars are very frequent at Baku, and I'm actually very surprised CJ Pance's incident, where you saw the whole rear wheel is not attached to the car. They came off. That was not a safety car of the castle section, but what was is two drivers colliding and no one going out of the race. But when CJ goes out of the race, it's not a safety car. That part of this game confuses me. Safety car can be inconsistent, and at F1 2019, how inconsistent the track limits were. I think we're getting to see what's more inconsistent. Track limits have got more consistent in this game, but I think the safety cars have been probably the biggest issue in this game. Very inconsistent for what we're seeing, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely a flip-flop between the two.
Dominant Square, Dark Strider still got to catch up to this pack of cars. Dark Strider's done so, now it's Dominant Square who did it again. Yeah, I mean, if Conducted and Alexis Sanchez kind of have that, feeling of Alonso 2018, if you remember that, Patriot. Alonso, I told you about this before, Alonso had a crash on the first lap, and he came back to finish top 7 in a McLaren, which is unusual for McLaren. After that chaotic racing, he came to finish very well after his issues at the start. He got a puncture, fell almost a lap behind. I look at Alexis Sanchez and Conducted, possibly those people who crashed and possibly have a chance to recover. We saw Tier 4 last week. People can easily recover from crashes, and that was shown by Patriot VC, Dominant Square, who took good finishes from last week, and Super Women.
Yeah, great recovery from those drivers last week. Patriot VC, he spun twice by himself. The wet conditions did not suit him or his setup that well, but he did recover and put it into scenario 7 to finish back in 3rd place.
Safety car doesn't look like it'll be coming in this time, but we'll find out next time by, because the safety car's been out for a little longer than the usual. We'll figure out what will go on with it. Dominant Pack. He actually tied his best league racing finish last week, 7th place. Good story for him. He got the other 7th place in ARL Tier 3 at USA. Home track for him. That was his first time on a wheel, and now I believe he's using his wheel to league race, and he got that 7th place finish after crashing last week in the chaotic race that was. How big is it for a guy like Dominant Square and a guy like these underdogs in Tier 4 to show what they can do and maybe, say, have an issue in the race, but come back to do very well and get your best finish?
Oh, it definitely is a big confidence booster after you make a mistake, but yet you can get a great finish. In some cases, like Square and Patriot VC, they got their best league racing finishes, at least in GSR and in Square's case, ever. Tied it. But yeah, it's a big confidence booster when you know you have pace and you just go through the field like that. It's a very good feeling, especially for these guys in the lower tiers, to be able to drive through the field like that.
Yeah, when you're not necessarily one of those guys who are up in the front of the field, up competing every week, you're just looking to finish the race cleanly and not have issues. A guy like Square, a guy like CJ Pants, a guy like a few others who aren't always at the front every week, but are looking to get the best finish they can in these lower tiers. They're not expecting to win. They're not expecting to be on podium. They're looking to get the best out of their ride, or just race as they can, because you're not going to have the opportunities you had last week, where opportunities come like that, where people crash in the final lap. You come from 9th to 7th like Square did, or Patriot VC 6th to 3rd, where he did. You're not going to have opportunities like that like last week, and maybe today might be a day you might have opportunities, because Baku is chaotic, and we see the safety car coming in this lap.
Expect to see some penalties possibly if Superwoman stacks up the pack a little bit. Some contact 5-second penalties. Does look clean so far. No penalties have been given.
I'm surprised he's not trying to back up the pack here and trying to catch the safety car. The safety car is supposed to come in this lap. He's not going to have a good restart if Alpay is backing up the right way. He should. The green flag's about to wave again. Safety car's about to be in the pits. He's going to be backed off toward the line right here. You see right here, he's being backed off toward the line. Now he goes, and he's away, ahead, and you see behind him, it's a big gaggle of cars all battling for position. Alpay staying ahead of Crispy Hang. At the back there, a few trading position into turn 1, a few going wide, almost hitting that turn 1 barrier. I think some wing damage was just picked up by a Ferrari. That might have been Crispy Hang. And Super Women, something's happened to him. He's gone down to 4th. I didn't catch that. But yeah, Dylan down the order and has gone into a barrier.
Wing damage for the Haas.
What's happened to Super Women? I mean, he just fell down the order. I mean, maybe that safety car stuff costed him, and maybe he gone wide into turn 2, messed up the restart, kind of pulled an inner Sebastian Vettel from 2018. Who knows? It's allowed Alpay to take the lead, and I think that's Bonehead, who's had an issue, and he has. He's gone down the order. Like I said, this is a race where people could take advantages. Patriot VC back running on the podium. This is a race, like I said, people could take advantages. People could run up front who usually never do. And Bianchi, Evil Matrix, they just gone wheel to wheel. That's before the castle section. Bianchi locking up. Oh, it gets in the back of Matrix there, yeah. Yellow flag there at the back. I think that's Dark Strider. No, that's not actually. I don't know who it is. No, but this track is very worthy of Slipstream. That little draft of another car you get. You get that draft, the Slipstream, where you catch them. That is huge here. Not even that, the overtake button itself. Saving ERS here, if you're staying in ERS mode 1 the whole race, that's not going to work out for you. That's not going to cut it. That's not how it works. So, 3 wide here at the back. Some people missing front wings. Bit of contact between them. That's for 14th down. GSR Bianchi though, Square. And Harold.
Dominant Square, he's 4 positions from the start.
Virtual safety car. There's a crash at the back. Bonehead's out. And Super Whammon's actually changing that front wing now. Dark Strider's actually had a collision penalty with Bonehead. They crashed there at the exit of the S's. That's turn 20, that is. Super Whammon pits what was from the race lead originally, which is this is a VSC. He pits from that area and cause is going to come out 13th. He's near his teammate. How is he going to recover from this? Because he picked up damage. And he's got to drive through. Oh my god.
Speeding. Oh.
This race cannot get worse for him. This race cannot get worse at all. Oh my god.
Back to
Harold,
green.
Matrix, wheel to wheel in the chicane. Matrix going ahead. He stays ahead, actually. And I think Harold almost ran in the back of him. But, yeah, this race, like I said, Bianchi had the opportunity. Oh, he hits the back of him, gets some damage. A bit of a commentator's curse, because I was just going to say, he had the chance to get a podium last season, crashed out from that position. And, yeah, I kind of did just curse him, and he hit the barrier with the rear as well. Oh, yellow flag. That's Dominant Square. Said more issues in his first Azerbaijan Grand Prix than Dig Racing. I was just going to say about Bianchi, he has the opportunity to maybe be at the position at the end of this race for where he's going to be, but he now has damage. Both Renaults picked up damage on the same lap, so I feel bad. I feel really bad. I just cursed him. It's not fun.
DVCat was able to overtake Patriot VC on the straight. DRS has been re-enabled after safety car restart. So that's DVCat now into the podium position for his Ferrari. So Ferrari
one little straight of turn 1 to turn 2. Crispy Hang made that difference, 10th gain, as Harold has had an issue. He's spun. The thing is, look at how much the overtake button is playing a difference. Crispy Hang used the overtake button there in Alpe, and he gained about 3/10 there on that long straight, that DRS straight. He had DRS to play with, and DRS, I wouldn't say it's as effective as 2019, but that overtake button DRS, when you have DRS and that overtake button engaged, and you have the perfect DRS to do so, you have a good advantage. So 4/10 that gap, about to be cut down into about 3/10 almost. That corner, because that's how much the overtake button plays a difference. At a track like Baku, you see how much it plays a difference in these long straights, especially using it at a long straight.
Inside.
Better have
Contact.
Oh, he's got damage. He's got damage actually.
Left wing has been damaged for the Ferrari. He went for
and Conducted's got no front wing. Something's happened off the castle section. That's actually brought out a virtual safety car. Again, wow. So, I didn't catch the full thing of that, but Crispy Hang tried to dive it back down the inside. He's showing him he's not happy with him, pulling on next to him. He said, "Hey, you might have gave me no room there. I'm not too happy about that." And he showed it. Gone right up next to him and said, "Hey, I didn't like that."
Yeah, Crispy Hang, he went for a very strange dive bomb right out of the castle session exit, heading into the left-hander right after it. Alpe definitely not expecting, and Crispy Hang, Dominant Square. Crispy Hang's boxing to fit
I think
the
two
sixth
people
wing.
got it. Yeah, it was Square who actually got it. It just popped up like that. I thought it was popping up differently, but Crispy Hang, Bianchi, Conducted, who all took damage on that one lap, all goes to pit, and Harold as well. 4 people go to pit because of damage that lap, and I think Square will be the 5th, but Baku, it's chaos. And the thing is with Crispy Hang, 5-second penalty. Cross the pit line, pit lane exit, white line. That's huge for him. That 5-second penalty, if we get a late race safety car, that could play a big difference into his finishing position, that 5-second.
Yeah, Crispy Hang currently in 9th. He's going to go past Rowdy's AI. Now into P8. He's on fresh mediums. He's going to try and stretch these to the end. He needs to go 14 laps on these mediums. Definitely doable. And he will be on the faster tire compared to people in front.
I don't get what he was trying to do there at turn 12, I think it was, around there. I mean, I don't get what the move he was trying to make. I mean, you know, maybe he made a mistake at the exit of the castle section, and he was like, alright, I'm going to dive down here inside. You made a mistake. I have more momentum. I can take the move. I can take this risk. But clearly he couldn't take the risk because he was clearly pinched to the wall, and that gave him damage, and now he's got the 5-second penalty to add on with that.
Yeah, definitely not what Crispy Hang needed. He got the damage, and now has an extra 5-second on top of it. So, needed a lot of luck and maybe a couple safety cars to get him back into this race, but currently sitting P8 with the 5-second time penalty, so not over yet.
It's just weird because you don't usually make a move in Sector 2 on someone unless it's that chicane that starts off with. That's the only place I'd expect a move from a driver to be made. It was quite a weird move in Super Wham and pits again, actually.
Pits again.
This might
no
be
damage.
First drive-through. This might be
Oh
the
yeah,
first
he got
drive-through.
his drive-through. Yeah. About to say there's no
Dylan and
damage
Square.
to the wing.
Yeah, oh, well, speaking about that, Square just got damage to his wing, and Dylan actually had to back off not to run on the back of him. Dylan's going to go wheel-to-wheel with him, and Dark Striker, or Dark Strider, is looking right in behind this and saying, hey, I might like this, and Square is actually coming to pit.
Yeah.
In fact, this is his 5th stop this race, I think. Not so good for Square.
Yeah, definitely not.
Well, the gap between the race lead now, 1.6 seconds. So, this I find interesting. I know Stevie Cat's been using that overtake button a bit more. Alpe's been saving it in case he gets caught. Medium tires, hard tires, you know, Stevie Cat might be pitting again for softs at the end, but he's got to be betting on a safety car right now. There's no way he's going to go mediums to the end. And I don't think that's legitimately possible to have happen from when he pitted, which was lap 5. That's legitimately not possible. Unless you're just going to try to get a puncture, but no, 1.5 seconds, that gap is kind of increased for him, decreased for Alpe. So, I'm quite interested to see, again, those two. We can see a fight for the race lead, but he's actually not using his overtake button, where Alpe did. You see the big difference that made, about a 3/10, 4/10 difference on the straight. That could be the difference that it makes for the race win, you never know. Just don't know. Lewis, Patriot VC into turn 1. DRS was engaged for Lewis. Got sideways off the corner, had a little slide. Can't really help with that one. You know, you're not going to catch up to him that way. Now off turn 3, or turn 2. His teammate looks in front of him. Matrix does, saying, maybe I can get involved in this battle. He might like that. These two trying to go into turn 3. They might go wheel to wheel pretty soon here. Lewis might try a dive here into turn 4. No, cannot do so. It's going to be a lot of patience here, because Baku, you have to have a lot of patience at Baku. You can't just be dive bombing in every corner and expect to be given the room, because that's just not the way it goes.
Yeah, wing damage is on the AlphaTauri, missing the right side end plate on the front wing. So that could be a factor in why Lewis and Eagle Matrix are pulling up. They are on even tires pretty much, so little loss of front downforce may be amounting to the loss, as it is getting a lot larger. Not a great castle section for Lewis, as the gap now almost a second and a half.
The gap between the race lead is kind of cut down to a second. It was about 1.8, about almost, and now it's dropped down to a second using that overtake button, engaging it. Both drivers are. Now, Stevie Cat has actually done this to get DRS. Engaging that overtake button has got him the DRS, which will get him about a tenth or two closer this time into turn 1. It's not enough for an overtake because he's way too far back for an overtake.
Yeah, he'll get the DRS for the second straight right here, so he'll be able to close the gap a good amount. 8/10 is still the gap, 7/10 now.
You see Alpe just gets better traction and just better exits off the corner. That's what's getting him that advantage off the corner. You know, I mean, ooh, you see how close he comes to the walls right there. You see, that's probably where he's losing his time. He's getting too close to the wall and trying to hit the apex, trying to be too committed to it. And that's probably what messes him up a little bit. That's why the lead is cut down from 1.8 to about 4/10 in about 1 or 2 laps here. You see the mistake. Alpe misses the apex, and you see Stevie Cat, he's just waiting for an opportunity to overtake him, but he just can't do so right now.
Yeah, you'd think with the older medium tires compared to the newer hards that Alpe would have more grip, but it looks like Stevie Cat's managing the tires really well to the point where he does have pretty much better grip. As I say, he loses the back end a tiny bit, but still he's driving faster than Alpe right now. DRS and overtake button are helping. He's going to be within striking area of an overtake into turn 1.
You just see Stevie Cat gets better entries into the corner as Bonehead's left the session. You see, Stevie Cat actually gets better entries into the corner as Crispy hanging. Oh, Alexis Sanchez just gone wheel to wheel there at turn 14. That was dangerous, but luckily they made it out alive. You see Stevie Cat gets better entries into the corner, but the drive off for Alpe is a lot better. Now DRS overtake button actually not engaged for Stevie Cat. That's going to make a difference. Alpe kind of weaving, trying to break the slipstream
He's trying to go
into turn
outside.
1. He's actually going to the outside. Stevie Cat has. He's going to switch it back. He's going to go down the inside for the race lead. We've seen a new change in the race lead. Stevie Cat has gone through. I think Alpe just gave him a little bump there into the back of his gearbox.
He's got DRS. Going back at him.
Wheel to wheel.
Wheel to
into
wheel.
turn 3. It's going to be interesting. Who's going to get out with the lead out of turn 3? It's going to be Alpe keeping the race lead. He defends very well after getting overtaken.
And it's going to be back to the drawing boards for Stevie Cat.
You just see how much better entries Stevie Cat gets. He could throw his car in there more, where Alpe just gets the better exit out of the corner to where Stevie Cat can't contend with him. Maybe that's part of medium traction if Alpe has that. Or is that maybe Stevie Cat having full traction? Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, if Stevie Cat can stay within a second, he will have DRS and he will be able to get him. Oh, losing the back end massively. That's not going to help him out.
Now, to have a chance to overtake him, what he needs to do, he needs to be within, I'd say, that 5/10 gap to have a chance to overtake him. If he doesn't engage his overtake button, and Stevie Cat has his DRS stuck open, or, well, not stuck open, is using it, and has it, and is close enough, he might be able to have a chance to get close enough. And you see the DRS difference, 85% from Alpe to about 50% from Stevie Cat. So, ooh, you almost see him at the wall right there. That was close. But, you know, you see the difference in these guys' ERS, and I find it interesting. Because Alpe can afford to use the overtake button on a straight and get away with it, where Stevie Cat can't as much, because he might go down to 10% within about the next 2 laps, if he keeps using it the way he is.
Yeah, Stevie Cat didn't really have a great third sector. Alpe was able to open up the gap a little bit, so Stevie Cat wouldn't be able to overtake on the straight, but Stevie Cat, he's gonna have another shot. DRS engaged, but still not close enough. The gap's still like 0.8, so not close enough for any overtaking opportunity.
Matrix just had an error, and he's caught out by that. He loses time to his teammate. In fact, Alpe and Matrix are tied for the championship lead. They have a 14-point gap, which is over the third place car. And even Matrix, keep in mind, he does have damage. So with Alpe where he's at right now, he has a chance to possibly take that championship lead and lead by, I'd want to say, at least a good 15 points, which will get him a good advantage into the next race at Bahrain next week.
Yellow
flags. That's a turn 1. That's Dark Trader. Could this bring out a safety car or VSC? No, it has not.
Yeah, I lost a bit of the right side wing for the McLaren. Currently in 13th position, not the race he's wanting.
So you see how close these gaps are. Of course, Stevie Cat's going to have to use his overtake button in order to catch DRS. You see a yellow flag. Dark Strider's out. I was just going to talk about safety car right here because it's come out. Safety car is out. I was just going to speak. What I was speaking about is you see how close these gaps are. Everyone gets more desperate toward the end of the race, and this is when you'll start to see safety cars. That's what I was just going to say, and now you've seen one. Does Alpe and Stevie Cat come both to pit? I think they both do. They do.
Yep, definitely going down for fresh soft tires. Looks like Dark Strider, he just went...
Yep.
It looks like Dark Strider, he just went full throttle into the heavy braking zone.
Would you say? Or
yeah,
missed the
not
corner?
the day he wanted.
Rage missing the corner? I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I mean, where he was, it looked like he was toward that runoff area, but that could also mean he missed the corner, tried to go wide, and hit that barrier that sticks out right there at the edge. And Alpe's got a 5-second penalty for actually crossing the pit line exit. That's huge for a race leader. That is big. And there's guys who stayed out as well. Alpe falls behind his teammate. Alexis Sanchez stayed out. Crispy Hang stayed out. Evil Matrix has taken advantage of this and stayed out as well. Wow.
Yeah, Alexis Sanchez was one of the people who stayed out for the Hungary late race safety car.
Yeah.
So he was
taking advantage.
Just trying to block. He was just trying to block and maintain.
Defend, yeah.
Yeah, defend heavy. Didn't really end up working out for him, but new race weekend, he's gonna try it. Stevie Cat in front with fresh softs. Crispy Hang on the 5-lap mediums and Evil Matrix. He's just trying for something. On 16 lap old hards, he's just going to be a sitting duck for the cars behind.
Now, with Alexis Sanchez staying out, Crispy staying out, Matrix staying out, Matrix playing a big gamble staying out. Where his tires are at, he can get a puncture. And I seen this back in WOR, in Tier 1. A guy pitted lap 4, lap 5, lap 3 around that area. Going to the end with hards, it was softs to hards in F1 2019. Got a puncture. Matrix is staying out with this, with a damaged wing. That's an issue for him. He's going to have to defend, of course. We know that. But where he's at with this, he's got a damaged wing. And he's going to have to defend for this race lead. He could maybe be a bit aggressive with it. Maybe he could be lenient. Who knows? Alexis Sanchez, you spoke about him staying out. Alexis Sanchez is doing the smart thing here. Taking opportunities at the right time to get good finishes. And that's what he tried to do in Hungary. He spun himself out of the lead, out of a race win, possibly. And he's been in the position to take these chances and try to get good finishes and try to put himself in the right position at the right time. And I think Matrix might be coming to pit here. Yes, he is from wing damage. None of the top 3 to him that are their current top 3 pit. And Alpay just almost ran him in the back of right there. But you know, I was going to speak about Alexis Sanchez again. His defending at Hungary was incredible until the last lap, I would say, because there were so many times where Conducted or Alpay had a chance or should have passed his teammate Alexis Sanchez. That's how many times they should have passed him. Probably about 4 or 5. There was many times where they had the opportunity to pass him, they couldn't. Alexis Sanchez is probably one of the best defenders from Tier 4 and probably one of the most aggressive drivers we've seen since about Season 3, I think, of, Season 2 of Miss Ditto. I mean, we know how aggressive Miss Ditto is from GSR, the defending. Yeah, the defending. And Alexis Sanchez, I'd say, is one hell of a driver with how aggressive he is. You just don't know what to expect from him. He's in the position where he could get a good finish. He stays out, and there's 2 people who've stayed out from this. Well, besides Dominant Square and Rowdy TJ Boy, who don't want to pit again because Square's had about 4 stops. So, you know, that's the thing. You need to take the opportunities you have. You need to be in the right position. And that's what Alexis Sanchez is trying to do here. Remember, Crispy Hang has the 5-second penalty he has. Alpay has the 5-second penalty he has. So this is going to be interesting to see here of these penalties that these drivers have. Alpay has a penalty. How does he go into this restart with a penalty? Crispy Hang has a penalty. He leads the safety car restart. He's going to be leading this race safety car restart this time. So I'm quite interested to see again Crispy Hang. You know, he's got a penalty. Does he defend a bit harder, or does he let his teammate by and say, hey, you go ahead, and I'll defend for you? Or does Alpay try to challenge you even with that 5-second penalty and get the best position he can? And Conducted's got a penalty for colliding with Super Whammon. Patriot, safety car restart predictions here. How do you think things will go? And safety car is in this lap.
If you are somebody that is behind Alexis Sanchez, you're going to want to get in front of him immediately. Sitting behind somebody on old hard tires for an entire lap will kill your momentum, and it'll just leave Stevie Cat able to attack his teammate who has the 5-second time penalty. So if you're Stevie Cat, this is a perfect scenario. You'll have your teammate in front with a penalty, and if you pass him, he'll be behind to defend from the 2 Williams.
So, Alpay and Crispy Hang are the only people to have penalties. Back to the safety car restart we go. It's happened already. The 2 Ferraris lead. The Williams behind into turn 1. Alexis Sanchez and Alpay. They make contact into the wall. Alexis Sanchez goes. Just has a little kiss with it. Petra VC goes through. And behind that, Conductors fell down. Side by side between Super Whammon and Harold. Locking up. Into the barrier they go. There's damage. They're 3 wide up in front. Bianchi involved with the mix of them. With Lewis. Race lead. Crispy Hang gets passed by Stevie Cat on the new fresher tires. Lewis and Bianchi, they're trading positions. They're going back and forth.
Yankee did have the preferred line. He will be able to stay in the 5th position. Keep in mind, Alpay and Crispy Hang, they have 5-second time penalties. If Patriot VC can stick within the 5 seconds of them, he could get his best finish. Yeah. He can get second.
Bianchi could also be the first person. He's the only person to race in every tier GSR. He could be the first person to get a podium in every tier GSR. You see how much his pace has fallen? That he's moved from tier 3 to tier 4? You never know. He could possibly steal a surprise podium and give redemption from last season. And now it's Super Whammon, who had a chance for a win at one point, has now spun round.
Calamity for the Red Bull,
Patrick,
12th and 13th.
Oh, Bianchi. Patrick, VC, and Bianchi, they need to work together, and they need to catch Alpe and Crispy Hang about now, because if they want to be on the podium, they need to be able to get to those two and pass them and get by them, and maybe have a chance at Stevie Cat if another safety car comes out, because they'd be in the right position to do so. And you saw Bianchi just bounce off the wall right there, and here comes Alpe. Overtake button engaged on Crispy Hang. These both have penalties, and now into turn 1 this time. They're about to go wheel to wheel. Which way does Alpe go? He tries to look to the right side, but with both drivers using the overtake button, it doesn't work out. Lewis now and Bianchi. Lewis goes by. Remember, Lewis doesn't have a penalty. This could be what is for a podium position because of the 5-second penalties.
Yeah, if you're Patrick VC, you love to see them squabble in front of you. Crispy Hang has pulled a little bit. 7/10 now. Patrick VC is within striking zone of Alpe, but he's going to have to stay behind for now.
We'll have to see, because penalties play a big difference with the two guys in second and third having penalties. That's big, especially being 5 seconds.
Yeah, Stevie Cat currently in first. He's pulling on everybody behind with Crispy Hang and Alpe. I guess you can't squabble through the castle section, but being very close to each other, it is allowing Stevie Cat to pull away and possibly get his first victory of the season.
If I'm Patrick, VC, Lewis, or Bianchi, I'm engaging scenario 7 right now. If I'm them, I'm doing it, because that's what they need to do if they want to have a chance for a podium or even possibly a race victory if Stevie Cat gets himself into trouble. And we've seen guys from the race season before have trouble. Kyle so too. This late in the race, he had trouble in this very kind of situation where he's binned it from the race lead. So Stevie Cat, he could bin it from the race lead, you just don't know. And I think there's another yellow flag up in front. Alpe, there you go, yellow flag for him, a front wing flying off. He's gonna have damage, and he's gonna get past for Patrick VC, which is for a podium. And here comes Lewis, a double overtake is possible. Lewis to the outside, trying for it, into turn 1. Not enough. He hits the back of him. They touch. So now with all this, this gets some clean air to catch Crispy Hang. This gets, which Crispy Hang has that 5 seconds. Now Lewis to the outside, trying for a position. This is for third.
Late braking, is it going to work? It does.
He doesn't overshoot it, so he goes through. With 4 laps to go.
Beautiful overtake from Lewis. So, late braking made the gap work.
With all this, right now, it'd be Stevie Cat, Lewis, Patrick VC the podium, and Bianchi would just be off the podium. And Bianchi actually, in fact, messaged me before today's race saying, fun fact, if I get a podium today, I have a podium in every tier GSR. So he's trying for it. Evil Matrix, Alpe, they go inside of each other. I don't know if Alpe is still in the session. He is. He was just ghosted there for a minute. And now with all this, Stevie Cat's actually pulled up to a 3-second lead. He's got himself in a comfortable position right now. But again, you get too close to those walls, you mess up one corner, you miss your braking point, you're going into a wall, you're getting damaged. That's what could change the fact of this race. And now there's been a glitch with conducted in Patrick VC, which actually, because of lag, has got him behind. And right now, the current running order, if this race stays the way it is, because of the penalties, Bianchi would be onto a podium position. That would be huge for him. And now, Lewis is actually catching up to Crispy Hang. You see how much more pace Lewis has got in these newer tires. He's actually got DRS engaged. And now, look at the amount of ERS that Crispy has. It's not too well for him. It's actually below 10%. Below 10% for both drivers. Into turn 1 to the out. Conducted and Bianchi. They were close. Bianchi goes through.
What a recovery from Conducted, causing an early safety car with his rival. He's now on for a fight for a podium. If he passes Bianchi, he's got it.
Not even that. Think about Bianchi's situation. He actually got damage earlier in the race. He picked up damage actually twice. And his is kind of like a Perez 2018's position, where Perez had an issue at the beginning of the race, fell to the back, came back for a podium. Bianchi could possibly be in that position right now. Super Whammin has actually left the session. It might be a rage from where he's at. I don't know if he lagged out or not, but where Bianchi's at, that could be a Sergio Perez position, and where Lewis was running the whole race, he was down about 8th position, 9th position, 7th, around that area with his teammate, and he picks up damage! He goes into the wall! That's going to be costing him his first podium! Well, his first podium since last season, but his first in Tier 4! That's going to be costly! Patriot VC gets by conducted, and now Lewis trailing around with missing end plates and front wing. Now, does he miss this corner? No, he doesn't. He actually stays clear of the wall.
Patrick VC, he hit the wall earlier.
Positions.
He hit the wall earlier in
That's
the
enough
run.
for Mayo. Evil Matrix is out. That's the championship leader. That's huge. Patrick VC now in Lewis. Patrick VC has hit the back of him because of how much Lewis had to slow down in the S section. So now we come to 2 laps to go. Crispy Hang sits in a comfortable gap over Bianchi, who could steal his first podium, while Patrick VC could take 2 podiums in a row. And keep in mind, Stevie Cat started 10th last season. GSR Hamilton, who took the win, and Baku in Tier 2, started down in about 14th, 16th position, around that area, and he got on to win the race. Bianchi started 4th, Patrick VC started 8th, Stevie Cat started 10th, and they have the chance of being on the podium.
Bianchi with a great recovery. Alpe, he's got fastest lap up to 9th. 143.6.
That's crucial for his championship lead, because he's had a bad race, he's had an issue, he's had to pit, and now that's changed things as Alexis Sanchez, his teammate, has gone into a barrier. So Alpe, where he's at now, he's now up to 8th. He has to get every points position he can out of this race, because where he's at in the points, he's tied with Matrix, and he has an 11-point gap, which seems safe. But at a track like Baku, someone could steal that from him. Someone could steal that point lead, and he might not have as big of a loss as he might have today. But well, because of today, with the position he's running in. Now it's close between Patrick VC and Bianchi, and now Conducted trying for redemption from last week. Possibly could get a podium. He had a podium last week, but he just gonna dive down the inside. He puts him in the barrier. That was a late dive, and that was from way, way far back. That was way far back. That was out of nowhere.
And that makes Patrick VC, he loses DRS.
Yeah, that's huge, but he has to do his overtake button. Yeah, just because of that, he was within 8/10 of Bianchi. Now he's nowhere. And now we reach the final lap of the Grand Prix. Stevie Cat leads, Crispy Hang second, but he has a penalty, and Patrick VC blocking off Conducted, and in turn 1, Conducted breaks late. Again, a bit of contact between the two. They collide.
Patrick VC lost the back end. He's going to be able to hold 4th position, though. If it keeps squabbling like this, Crispy Hang, he could be able to hold on to that 3rd position.
Yeah, and Lewis, if he gets close enough a podium, or even that 3rd position, you never know, because Lewis, where he's at, he is 9 seconds back from Crispy Hang, but if Crispy Hang has an issue in these last few laps, that could possibly prevent him from being even 3rd in this race, or where he is at, because right now, this is like a Lando Norris situation, where they're at, Patrick VC's not on the podium. That's actually lost him the position, actually, from where he's at, because he'd be needing to be within 5 seconds. The 5 seconds would be 8.9 back from the leader. He's 9.5 back. Patrick VC could just be costing of a podium right now. And a double Ferrari podium could be happening.
Yeah, he's got to put his head down if he wants to grab it back.
Bianchi right now, unless he gets damage, he's confirmed for a podium, but he's losing touch, yeah. He's 4.7 back. He needs to engage scenario 7.
Crispy Hang doing what he needs to do. He's even gaining on his teammate. 3.8 seconds.
Down to the wire.
He may be able to hold
Stevie Cat. Yeah, you never know.
He's got it.
Well,
5.1
yeah,
now.
from 10th.
From
10th of the grid. Oh, that's big from 10th. Stevie Cat wins the race, and now for a podium, this could be. It's for Conducted and Bianchi coming to the line. Conducted steals it from Bianchi. Bianchi gets it back though for penalties. Bianchi has been on the podium, and every single tier GSR, Crispy hangs on to it. GSR Bianchi, a sensational drive from him after getting damaged twice in this race from the start. He is on the podium for the first time since Italy last season, which was back in May. A sensational drive from him. And how about Crispy Hang, who got the 5-second penalty, holds on to second. It's a Ferrari 1-2. They got to be happy with that, and they get momentum in the constructor standings and dominate square out of this whole mess. After being about 15th, 14th, 5 pit stops this race, he's going to score a point. Good racing, good race engineer from Utah, Finn, I can tell you, because I know he race engineers square a lot. So, wow, what a chaotic race that was. What a finish.
Crazy intense battle for the podium. Conducted, trying to get his nose through, made contact with Patch. They both went into the wall. But with the penalty, they both got back in front. Patch was hoping to try and get a run on Bianchi, but he went into the barriers.
Yeah.
Unlucky for him. I know he wanted back-to-back podiums.
Is this possibly what we could see, what we're seeing from GSR Tier 4? We've had now, this is, I think, 8 different drivers on the podium, and 3 different winners. We saw a total of 10 different winners. In 11 races last season in GSR Tier 3, we saw about 20 drivers on the podium last season in Tier 3. Are we seeing possibly another situation of that?
Definitely. The field was very close together today. Patriot, who started 8th, was able to contend for a podium. Bianchi started 4th. He got his first podium in Tier 4, conducted, coming from 11th. And he gets 5th position. Would have got the podium if he didn't get the penalty. But Crispy Hang, he was able to hold on to the podium after getting a 5-second time penalty with all the squabbling. The gap was 9 seconds in between them.
Guys, this is what Baku provides. Craziness. Oh my god, make sure you guys include your audio. This is Patriot. Let me talk to you about this first, though, Patriot. This is what Baku provides, the chaoticness. Bianchi with his first podium. He gets redemption from last season. He's got to be happy. Bianchi has. Got to be happy.
Oh, definitely. After a disappointing Tier 3 race last week where he spun more times than I can count, he comes down to Tier 4 and he gets a podium performance after getting damaged a couple times. So great recovery drive from the Renault.
Kind of like a Perez drive from 2018. That's what it reminds me of, a podium from him. And kind of conducted the whole... I saw that finish was kind of like a Lance Stroll type of finish where coming to the line, you just don't know who would have got it. And Conducted actually had a penalty. Conducted was about, I want to say, 7th or 6th on that whole restart. And he came back from the late safety car to get about 4th and 3rd on track. Bianchi was lucky enough to hang on to that, but if that podium stays for Bianchi, that'd be good. But, guys, like, I was going to talk to you. Include your audio. Stevie Cat, 10th to 1st. 10th of the grid. Miracles do happen in Baku. Alpay got damage, and, he had issues. He was the dominant guy this race, you could probably say. I believe you were the guy hunting him down, or it was Crispy Hang, I'm pretty sure. But, regardless of that, stuff like this does happen in Baku, where you can take advantage of things. You started 10th in the grid. Tell me about your race.
I think the main thing I'm very grateful for was deciding to go for a more aggressive 2-stop. As I said, there was nothing really to lose, and half the grid to gain some more aggressive stop, and thankfully, actually, 2 safety cars came out when I needed to pit. So both pit stops that I had to make were basically 3 pit stops, which catapulted me up to the order, especially the last one where a lot of people around me were still on hards or mediums to come into the stops, allowed me to just pull that gap at the end, and it was just a case of keeping it out of the barriers.
Yeah, we know how tricky Baku can be. The Azerbaijan Grand Prix, there's many times where one slight mistake can cost your race. We've seen Bianchi, we saw some other people, we saw a dominant square pit 5 times. Did you ever think that wing damage or anything like that was going to be a factor into what could be losing you the win?
For sure, especially in ranked online in single player, it's continuously put into the walls, and my heart absolutely pounding around some of the corners. But as I said, I was lifting off through some of the corners just to make guarantee that I didn't hit the walls, and very much just waiting for the decisions to kind of fall to me, and rather than real pushing to get them. It was some good overtakes from battles out of the track, but yeah, it was just a case of just trying to keep it cool and keep it out of the barriers, keep my nose clean.
You took third last week, a win this week, or third last week. No, never mind. Third in Britain in the first race of the season. A win this week. What do you think about your championship chances this season in Tier 4? Do you see yourself as possibly a guy who can contend with Evil Matrix and Alpay, the guys who've been up front and leading this championship?
I definitely think I'm able to keep cool under pressure, then I can definitely pump out some good results and maybe push for a championship. I know Hungary didn't go my way because I just let the pressure and the stress get to me and ended up making some really silly mistakes. So I think, yeah, as long as I can keep cool, and stay under pressure, keep cool under pressure, then yeah, I reckon I could be up there challenging for one of the top spots of the championship.
Hey, congrats on the win. I mean, Azerbaijan is just a crazy racetrack, and it's been shown many times before, especially today, of what this racetrack can provide. And you can be sitting anywhere when it comes to stuff like that. You could be sitting down in 5th and win the race, or you could be sitting down in 16th and get a podium. You just don't know what could happen, and congrats on the win by that. Patriot, do you have any questions for the race winner?
No, I don't. Very commanding last stint of the race from Stevie Cat. Great drive. You pulled 4 seconds, I think, on your teammate. So, great drive and great win.
Trying to think of the name. I can't think of it without looking at it. Crispy, hang.
Yes.
You there? Make
Yeah.
sure your audio is included. Well, the 5-second penalty you were contending for the race lead with Alpay. It was back and forth between you guys. It looked like Alpay got the better traction out of the corners. That's what was able to have him have the drive off the corners that he was wanting while you were contending for that race lead. You got the 5-second penalty out of the pits, which was very crucial into possibly getting you this race victory. But it actually kept you second, just by 0.6 over Bianchi. How nervous were you there, just trying to pull away from your competitors to keep second place? Because you probably knew that with the battling behind, you had a chance at a podium. But with the way the early parts of the safety car restart looked, it looked like you were probably going to be knocked off the podium.
Yeah. Once I came out the pits and got that 5-second penalty, literally, I was just worrying about my pace. And after the safety car restart, obviously I was in first, so I just tried to get an optimal restart for myself. And the thing, because Stevie was on a fresh pair of softs, I knew I couldn't fight him, otherwise that would be my and maybe his race over. And I was sweating for like 4 laps. Because of all the people behind me on those fresh softs, but obviously luckily they were all fighting, and in the end I got that lucky gap that I needed.
Yeah, that 5-second penalty you'd got, you knew Bianchi was close, you knew those guys were within that 5-second range, but once the final lap hit, they were battling so hard that they kept putting each other almost on the wall, and I think they actually did put each other on the wall once. But were you at all worried about the 5-second gap of knocking you off the podium? Or were you just like, alright, I gotta stay calm, I gotta pull away? Or were you a bit worried about it? Because, there were times where it looked like they had the better chance at it. There were other times where they didn't.
Oh yeah, I was definitely worried at times, but once I got onto the streets, I knew that my setup would be faster than them if I had enough ERS and rich mix, which I had been saving from the safety cars. But at the start, because of their fresh softs, they were all going faster than me, so I just had to defend for my life and hope I didn't take them or me out, which didn't happen, which is a good job. And I say next. But yeah, I was trying to keep calm for most of it, and obviously Stevie flew past me, so he basically won that once he went onto the softs. And then all it was for me was to make sure I keep that gap, make sure I just increase the gap after the softs get worn out, because Yeah, my medium's already worn, and after 6 I'd say sauce goes like 30-40% on back hill.
Now, you guys finished off with Ferrari being 1-2. That's gonna help you guys in the constructors. How happy do you seem at the constructor standings, at least, to contend with the other teams? Because you guys just scored a 1-2. That's 43 points for you both. How happy do you seem about that?
Well, obviously, it was good today, but obviously the past races, I DNF'd. I don't know how Stevie did the past races because I didn't. But we have shown that we've got pace to match up with like top 3 in the standings. So in the future, it could be good for us.
Yeah, congrats on the podium. Congrats on the 1-2, by the way. And Patriot, do you have any questions for Crispy Hang?
No, I do not.
Patriot.
You pretty much answered all my questions.
Bianchi! Podium!
Yep,
Oh
I'm
my god.
very excited.
Make sure your audio's included.
It
Dude, that last lap had to be insane. You probably had to be sweating that. You were nervous that you almost pinned it in the wall. I think you actually did touch the wall, and that
Yes, you did.
partially costed you. And you knew the guys behind you were fighting, but how much were you having to hold them off? And this, I don't know if you can relate to this, but this kind of reminds me of Sergio Perez from 2018, where he was behind almost the whole race because of something that happened to him. He had troubles at the beginning. You picked up damage twice, and Perez came back for a podium, which was third. You came back for a podium, which was third.
Yeah, that was quite the race. If anything, a bit lucky in some senses because I had to be helped up by Lewis crashing and Patrick VC having his troubles with conducted. But when I crashed coming off that final turn right there, I had some really worn rear tires and just lost it. And I tried making my car as wide as possible for conducted not to get by, and he did, but still ended up getting it from a penalty I might have gotten late earlier in the race. So I'm very happy about that.
Yeah. So if this podium stays, if any appeals aren't happening, which I don't know about already, but you would have a podium in every GSR tier. You being the founder of this league, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, it means quite a lot to me that I've been on the podium this often, but I'm just searching for that win, man. And I've been in this for so long, I'm just trying to get that one victory in this.
Question I have for you is, when do you think that victory will come? Because we saw many drivers take advantages of their of mistakes and everything else that happened. Evil Matrix took advantage in the wet tires of being on the right tire at the right time. How much do you have to take advantage of these races? Because like Alexis Sanchez as well last week got up to a position, stayed out, and got himself in a position to possibly win the race. How do you have to kind of put yourself in that position to win a race, and when do you think the win will come?
I mean, most of these races so far have been races of attrition, so I feel like if you just keep your own car out of the wall, you'll be fine and on for a podium, which is a track like easily describable. But yeah, I feel like the win would probably come at Monaco, I mean, not only because of the attrition factor, but because I'm very confident on that circuit. So I believe I could come out with hopefully a win. That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be sick. Now, you took a few damages on your wing, and you had got farther back having to pit. Your teammate Dominic Square had to pit about 5 times because of the damage.
Yeah.
How do you describe Renault's race, and how do you describe your race as a whole? What are you needing to improve before next week as you move down to Tier 4?
Yeah, me and Square had pretty good races today. Well, at the beginning, first half wasn't really too good. We were both pretty much out of the points. But slowly we took advantage of DNF cars and the safety car that came out late in the race. And we got ourselves to back up the points positions for P3 and P10. For the future, things might need to improve on. I like consistency, because Square and me were both guilty of just being completely out of it the entire time. Once we got wing damage, we kind of just fell off. Like, I thought about retiring after I spun in Castle. So, thank God I didn't, by the way, but, yeah, very tough race for both of us, but in the end, still came out with points.
Yeah. That is true. Now I've got to ask you, as a owner and commentator's point of view, since you're commentating tomorrow's Tier 1 race, how do you look at the other tiers? Tier 3, Tier 2, Tier 1? How do you look at those tiers and say, is this just a preview of how chaos will be for tomorrow? Because last season, I wouldn't say it necessarily was a dead race, but it was just a race that didn't have many overtaking in Tier 1, didn't have much chaos, but had, of course, stories to talk about. And Tier 2 last season had just the chaos that it provided, just much chaos. What do you think we'll see for the 3 tiers tomorrow? Well, 3 tiers tomorrow and Sunday.
Yeah, for 3 tiers, I feel like everyone on pace is much more equal, whereas Tier 4, you have, like, the top guys and you have people who are just, like, new to the game and, like, aren't really with it. In Tiers 3 and 2 and 1, you don't really have that sort of barrier with, like, being with the game. So, I believe probably good racing I'd see coming out of this. And lots of chaos, I believe, because of how close everyone is when it comes to overall pace.
Yeah, so, Patriot, unless you have any questions, congrats on the podium, Bianchi. Hopefully you do keep it if anyone does try to appeal, but yeah.
Yeah.
Patriot, you have any questions?
Actually, I do. Were you aware of the penalty situation in front and behind you, or were you just trying to drive up as far as you could to see if you could get a podium if you didn't know about the penalties?
I was aware that Crispy had a 5-second penalty, which I'm not sure if he served or not, so I was pushing. That's like 100% of the reason why I crashed in that final corner. I was trying to stay within 5 seconds, and I kind of got distracted and hit the wall, and the rest of that is kind of history. But yeah, I was also aware that Conducted had one too, so I was just kind of trying to keep the podium and not DNF.
Great podium. Thank you for the interview.
No problem.
If anyone has any predictions for tomorrow in chat, I'd love to see them for Tier 3, Tier 1, and Sunday Tier 2. Patriot, that was about as chaotic as we can get. These Tier 4 races are something I'm loving to commentate. These are great. Patriot?
Sorry, mate.
Patriot there?
Sorry, mate. Can you repeat? The mic went out.
No, I was gonna ask, just what do you expect tomorrow in Tier 3, Tier 1, and Tier 2? And, just from an overall today, what'd you think of the race? Because these Tier 4 races have provided the chaos that we needed, I think, in GSR. Some clean, some bad, some good, you know, whatever.
Yeah, definitely entertaining. I don't think... Well, entertaining at a cost of very clean, but... I definitely think as we go through the tiers, it will get less entertaining with the drivers being as smooth and more in control of their car, I should say. So you will be able to see overall pace and maybe more smart overtakes. We did see some silly mistakes from some of the drivers here today, so definitely more experience will play into that factor.
Now, overall from today's race, the chaos we saw, it kind of reminded me of, with the late race safety car restart, the ending was kind of such as like a 2017-2018 mix. You saw the fight to the finish line, kind of like Lance Stroll and Valtteri Bottas, in 2017. You also saw 2018, the late safety car restart, 2018 had a late race safety car restart. You also had, the leader kind of fall off, which was going to be Alpay, who was up there. He fell off. And that was kind of the reminiscent of Sebastian Vettel in 2018 when he led the safety, well, didn't lead, but was trying to make a move and locked up and almost gone into the barrier. And then we had the guy you can call Bianchi, who got damage, kind of like Sergio Perez in 2018, who had just misfortune at the start, fell back, and had no pace at the beginning, and had struggles, and came back to a podium. So... And Bianchi did the same thing. That race kind of reminded me a bit of real life there, Patriot.
Yeah, definitely some flash to the more recent past for this, especially with the finish Conducted in Bianchi. For the podium, I guess, well, with the penalty, it didn't really happen like Lance and Valtteri, but Definitely reminded me of it. It's what I thought when I saw the finish. But yeah, definitely some reminiscences of the recent past in real life.
Yeah, I would definitely say it was probably one of the best races this season. Now, one thing I want to ask you about before we end the stream, Alpay, Matrix have been the guy who were the guys who were leading the points into this race. They both had their troubles, and this was a race where the championship lead took a hit. I know I sound like the guys in career mode, where, oh, your championship lead took a hit there, I don't know, like Claire. But with Matrix and Alpay finished about like 8th or 7th with the fastest lap. Okay then. Alpay had was that your brother? Oh,
Yeah, he's being a little loud.
Oh my god, yeah. But no, we'll see him race tomorrow in tier 3. But the thing is with Alpay, oh my god, oh my god, Alpay took the fastest lap with 8th place. Matrix DNF'd out of the race, and that's huge for the championship lead. This also brings the championship lead a bit closer because it was a 14-point gap Matrix and Alpay had over the other drivers.
Yeah, the gap definitely taking a hit with Crispy getting second, but great finish from Stevie Cat. He's definitely gonna be able to close in after 2 podiums so far this season. He has showed a lot of consistency so far. Oh my goodness gracious. He has shown a lot of consistency so far, so maybe a good chance at the championship for him. Evil Matrix hasn't had the greatest pace since Britain. Maybe the rain race just suited more of his driving style, but at Hungary, he was pretty non-existent in terms of podium. And today, the highest I think he got was second before he pit for wing damage. So he was flirting with like the 5th, 6th area for most of the race.
Yeah, he took
sometimes
the
down on the point.
with the safety car restart he originally had, but the problem was he had damage, so that ruined him. Yeah, so my question then is to you, my next question, Patriot, just to end it off. Alexis Sanchez conducted. Those two got into it again. Those two made contact. I don't know if we've seen a ticket made about it, but that's big. Can we see this possibly rivalry between the two continue into the future? And is this something we might see weekly between them? I mean, I wouldn't want to see something like that weekly, but if it brings a rivalry, maybe racing rivalry between them, where they always get close to the racetrack, I wouldn't mind seeing that, because we don't usually see rivalries in lower tiers of league racing most of the time.
Yeah, getting back into it again. Oh, never mind. I thought I saw a ticket for it actually, so I got excited. But yeah, with these two being very close in pace, Alexis Sanchez being a very aggressive defender. I wouldn't say a good defender, but very aggressive. It has come with costs for his performances. I don't even think he got points this week or last week. But conducted, he just could never get past him. Maybe a little frustration. Trying to get past him leads to contact between the two. For last week at Hungary, you definitely think it was Alexis Sanchez's fault squeezing him into the barrier and him going out. Conducted still finished second in that race, but with Alexis Sanchez being as aggressive as he is, I don't see this rivalry ending very soon if they're close to each other on track.
Now we could see this foreshadow into future races, and I don't think we want to see that. I don't think they'd want to see that. But for a commentator's point of view, you want to see a rivalry such as that. You want to see a rivalry that spices things up, but you don't always want to see the dirty racing, of course. But that's done today for Tier 4. Had Patriot join me. I should be back for Tier 1 tomorrow, but Tier 3 tomorrow. Try to think off my head, don't tell me. I believe that has Axe and Bianchi commentating. Am I right on that?
I honestly
right
have no
off the top of my
idea.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, maybe.
Then you have Tier 1 tomorrow, which has me and Bianchi, PNB05 and Bianchi, commentating tomorrow. I don't think I need to explain myself. Tier 2 has Bianchi and Map Racer commentating that one, which is Tier 2 Sunday. So, you saw the chaos today. If you saw the chaos today, you want to tune in tomorrow, because tomorrow is going to be a thriller. I'm glad, Patriot, you joined us in the booth. That was insane. I'm tuning into more of these Tier 4 races. I tuned in last week. I'm not saying I didn't, but I'm definitely wanting to commentate more of these Tier 4 races because these are great. And yeah, expect to see some of the chaos tomorrow. Could we see a safety car frequency race where it's very frequent? Who knows? We'll find out tomorrow. You find out tomorrow, actually, because the chaos could ensue, could continue. We'll find out tomorrow. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed, and you guys have a good night.